Hey guys, today here's our goods. Gillette Tech on a maggard stainless steel handle. 1438 Boar brush from Semogue. Little small guy, great for travel, unless you want to use a scent because they dry quicker. PolSilver blade inside the razor, and it looks like we've got 22 shaves on that about. And then a Russian cream that I got as a part of a lot gift, and I'm going to give that a shot. I had no way to look this up online on Google because I don't know how to type the characters of the Russian language. I could probably figure it out, but it would take a long time. So you know what I did? Had a stroke of genius. I typed the UPC into Google, and so it just took me to a product page, and so I believe it said TrimBriz was the maker, and so maybe one of these words on here, somewhere is TrimBriz, and citrus. Citrus is the scent. So let's go for it and see how things go, how things work out. There are lots of languages, but none of them seem to be English in terms of ingredients. Wait. Yes, at the very end here, there are some ingredients. Stearic acid, okay. Water, obviously. Glycerin. Some different citrus extracts. And let's just see how it goes. I recently used a tube, and here's what the actual tube looks like. Recently used a tube like this of Palmolive. I mean, it's not Russian, but holy cow, did it perform really well. It's one of those drugstore finds, if you're in Europe, very common apparently. And wow, the Lather was a terrific performer. And I got a lot of it for just a little bit of product. So I was very impressed. And they've been in that business for quite a while, so they certainly justified their position. Now, the instructions on the box seem like you would take the front of the brush, the bristles, and just, put this in it and then start working it onto your face. Now, I'm a bowl latherer, so I'm going to do it kind of my style, and it'll probably work out just fine. Let me get my blade loaded up in the razor. Here is the X to show the identity here of this particular blade. I'm going to marathon this guy and see how far he goes. And the PolSilvers don't say PolSilver anywhere. They just say Super Iridium Extra Stainless. About 24 hours since my last shave, I think. And here's that Tech head. So many of these razors were made, and they are exceptional. Some people say they're too mild for them, but I think I'm in the camp that, so many of these things were made and used by so many guys that they will I think they will shave anybody. And if you can't make it shave you, then you haven't worked with it enough. Or you have a crap blade, would be my guess. So as a mild blade, it takes some finding to get that angle right. I seem to have found it kind of intuitively, naturally, and didn't really give me any problem, but apparently other people it has. All right, so now let's get my face wet. And that is my pre-shave routine. Wet face seems to work for me. I'm sure that a nice glycerin soap or something like that, cleaning off the oils of my face would help my passes to go better, but that first pass I kind of treat that way anyway, so we'll just roll with it. My shaves take long enough as it is. All right, so I'm going to take and just put a line of cream down the middle, and we'll see if my translation was correct and see if it's actually citrus scented. It is very creamy. It's not like toothpaste where it's holding its shape, like a little worm squeezed out on the surface. It definitely kind of melted. And look, I think it is moving down. Yep, It's moving down the bowl. So it is definitely a cream. All right, so this little brush I've been very impressed with. Good backbone, maybe a little bit more than average. Which is different than many Semogues. It's the extra grade bristles. Immediately we get the froth popping up here. Yep, citrus. TrimBriz, how about that? There's a guy that was selling several shaving items on the bazaar, I think, and this was one of them, and he had a couple other things that I was kind of interested in. A Arco Cool aftershave, and I've shown this on my channel, already, and really enjoyed it. It was kind of a traditional blue type scent, you know. And wow, look at this, all from just a little bit of water that was in the brush. And creams are kind of like that because they come with some water in themselves already. I was about to say, while this is so small, it makes for a great travel brush. When you travel, if your brush stays cooped up in a suitcase, then this would not be good for that because it does need to air out. So synthetics are really good for that purpose. But along that same line, I was thinking, well, this cream may be really good for travel as well because it's a tube and you just squeeze a little bit out and go with it, you know, instead of having to carry a soap tub around. But of course, if you're a carry-on traveler, I think you're limited with creams, tubes of things, you know, so it may not be a very good travel option unless you can check it. Well, the lather sure does look pretty decent. So this does have soft tips, not super soft yet, but it is a Boar, and it's a fairly young one. A dozen uses or so. I did soak it for a few hours today. Kind of the break-in that I'm using for the boars that I am currently growing up. I have a group of about 8 of them or 9 or so that most of them have about 20 uses, and this one I'm trying to catch up, which is why you've seen it be used more than others lately. This is just a pillowy, large amount of lather that I have on hand. So let's go ahead and put a whole nother teaspoon. So that's 2 teaspoons in the lather so far that I have added. We'll see if that's too much or just enough. Just a basic citrus scent, definitely more on the orange side rather than lemon or lime. So the puzzle contest, if you've been watching my channel lately, no doubt you've seen me use the puzzle soap from Declaration Grooming. That was a contest to see who could name the notes. Well, we were also going to name them in the order of percentage of use in the products. So I did my best, submitted them yesterday, and but I'm not going to share my submissions because the submission window is still open. And so once that is closed, then on Monday, in a couple of days here, they're going to announce who came the closest. I tried to submit mine quickly just in case I got them right. Then the person who gets them right first is the winner. Or if there's a tie, the person who submitted theirs first has the advantage. Let's see, I think maybe I got 2 of them right. I'm kind of like 70-30% sure I have 2 of them right, and then smaller percentages than that I have 3 of them right. I wouldn't be surprised if I got all 4 right, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I didn't, because there was one piece of it that I was definitely mystified about, and so I just did my best guess. But I was actually happy because there are so many parts of the scent industry that I don't know about. This one felt a little bit more in my wheelhouse, and so I was happy about that. Like if there's gardenia or iris or ambergris, or there's a whole bunch of notes out there that I don't pick up on very easily, you know. All right, let's wet my face. This lather looks very pillowy, and so it may actually still need some water, but let's just see. I mean, look at that. It's huge. It's very high structure, meaning it puffs up. I mean, look at that. See, look how thin. I mean, it's holding itself up in this kind of slug formation. And so we'll see if that needs more water, or if I need to run this guy dry. But this may be a Palmolive scenario where it made a lot more lather than I expected it to. Couple things we're doing here, just working it in. We are cleaning dirt from the face. We want to get that off so that it doesn't dull the blade or impede the blade in any way. And I think I've got enough on here so I don't need to go back for more soap. So let's just see if I add some water, if it improves the lather. Another thing we're doing in the first pass is as we work the lather around, we're trying to get it to kind of connect and bond with that top layer of skin to protect it. Now those are words that I have come up with, and that's just the way it feels like what's happening, because I have shaved with lather that is too dry and then gotten poor results because it just didn't seem like it had bonded, and so that's why I chose that word. Also using the soap to kind of dispel oils, collect those up off the face. And so sometimes because of that, the first lather, the first pass will not be quite as rich and luxurious feeling, because the oils are dampening down the lather effect. And you'll definitely see improvements in the second and third pass. It's common with me since I don't do a pre-shave. Now, cool water today, and at this facility, I call it a facility. At this location, I have hard water. All right, Tech, you awesome vintage razor. A piece of history. So many of these things were made. Generations and a couple of generations have, maybe even three, have grown up having access to this razor and using it. When you buy a vintage one, you just no telling how many people have used it, have used that type, and who may have used yours. Pretty wild. This is I believe this is the pre-war model. I could be wrong, guys, but it has these triangle slots. It's been too long since I've thought about this. I used to know it by heart, but it's slipping my mind right now. Inside each of these ovals has a triangle side pointing toward the middle here, And so that's one way to tell between the different techs. I think this is pre-war. I think the post-war has the oval shapes without the triangles. And let's rinse. All right, I added some more water to the lather because it did feel a little dry, and you know, my lather did improve as I added more water to my brush earlier. This is a small little knot, so I'm not surprised that I, you know, go back to the bowl. But yeah, just a nice gentle scrub from this brush, and these tips as they age are just going to split and improve. Yeah, this is a nicer lather. It's not as thick as the first one, but it's more hydrated. It may be too much. I maybe shouldn't have added quite so much. See if I get nice slickness with this. Sometimes when you thin it down, you lose the slickness if you thin it down too much, because the soap just kind of breaks down and isn't slick anymore. Yeah, I'm getting good glide. Minimal blade feel, but a little bit, you know, just a little bit. And it's not really a blade that I'm feeling. It's the just an edge, you know. It's not sharpness, but just an edge moving across my skin in a controlled and predictable way. Excellent. All right, let's do it again. I do believe I added a little too much water. I got a little hydration happy, but that's all right. Seems like it's protecting me well. This is not as good as the Palmolive, but it seems like a pretty respectable cream. The scent is very light. It's kind of good because, you know, for kind of a plain, you know, orange type scent, I mean, you don't want to be doused. You don't want to smell like you're dangling an orange car air freshener in front of your nose the whole day, you know, much less the whole shave. Cross grain again on my cheeks. Just a light touch. I'm holding the razor very lightly. I'm not holding it wide so that I get good leverage. I want the razor to be what moves instead of my skin. And that way we keep irritation down. And what was that? Is that the third pass now? And just for grins, I'm going to do a pass right here. Quick splash. So this is with a blade that most people definitely would have bent by now. You know, this is the 23rd shave. I am getting a couple of twinges around on my face. But other than that, and it's only when I kind of rinse and stuff, you know, not when I'm shaving like this. All right, let's see how everything went. Definitely no pulling or tugging or discomfort or anything like that. And I got a terrific shave. I was just checking out my trouble spot here. I don't see length in any hairs. one of the advantages I see sometimes, at least with my skin, and this tricky spot right here, I can't go against the grain. I get irritation, I get cuts. And so I have to do cross grain multiple directions. And I find that the milder razors with certain blades in them, maybe of all the blades out there, maybe half of them, so not just a few, but several are good at this. But the milder razors, like the 40s Super Speed, the Mamba, this Tech. Recently I used something else it was probably the 53 Mamba, but I'm able to go against the grain in a little bit more of an against the grain direction than just a cross grain. And then I'm not aggravating anything, and it works really well. So helps me to get even better cut than usual. And it's those mild razors that do that. The aggressive ones, they just bring up trouble for me, at least. I do feel a little bit of almost itchiness. I think I did maybe get a little bit of razor burn in a couple of these areas, maybe just one even, that are kind of off my beard line. Maybe I went too far because of the ease of everything. I was going a little too fast, perhaps. But I got a terrific shave. Really did. Tech is a marvelous piece, and I love that pretty much anybody can get it on eBay for about $9 or so, sometimes even better. Sometimes you pay $15, and they have 4 different vintage Gillette razors available to you, and 2 of them are Techs. I've definitely seen that happen. And so for just a little bit of money, you can get some quality pieces. And I think it's 1985, or I'm sorry, I can't remember when, that the Techs switched over to making Semogue materials, making the razors with Semogue, with zinc alloy. And so anytime before that, you may want to do some research if you're interested in buying a Tech. Anytime before that, you'll get nice brass components that have been plated in chrome or rhodium or whatever. And so those razors are lifetime quality. Indeed, if you're holding them in your hands, then they've already gone through 1 or 2 lifetimes. And so they can give you your lifetime and maybe the lifetime of your son or something, or daughter. Ladies need to shave as well. And the great thing is they are compatible with so many of the aftermarket handles, like these Maggard handles. There are so many of them out there. West Coast Shaving has a nice variety of handles to choose from as well. Inexpensive, stainless steel. They also have brass and some other things too over there. But I'm a big fan of swapping out the handles and stuff. So I don't think this cream has too much in terms of post-shave quality. The itchiness is not a bother. I definitely could walk away and not really be impacted. I wouldn't feel like I was lacking in my shave necessarily. I do have just a little, it's possible I have a very light allergy to some type of ingredient in there, or something like that, maybe. But it's really not a bother. And let me go down and see what kind of, Lucky Tiger. It's a tonic. It's got a slight orange scent. It'll work well with this. All right. Love excuses to use this Lucky Tiger. It's got a great vintage look to it. Aftershave and face tonic. And if you want to pause for that top section, you can read that. And if you want to pause for this bottom section, you can read that. But we're looking at aloe vera, calendula, chamomile, good stuff here. All right, give it a little shake. And I found it very nice. It doesn't have the alcohol, and so you're not going to get, it's not going to promote dryness. Just nice, easygoing orange scent. All right, excellent. I like it. Haven't used a Lucky Tiger cream shave in a while. I might have to whip that out sometime. All right. So with that amount of soap I showed you, I think I was about maybe an inch of squeezed out product. I still have, you know, 2 or 3 passes left of soap, and this one is a very elastic. This probably ended up a little too wet, but it's not as good as the Palmolive. It's not as slick, not as creamy as the Palmolive, but it's respectable, it seems. So wanted to bring it to you. Try it out. A little Russian cream, TrimBriz. Seems to be reasonable. If it's expensive, then nah, it's not good. But if it's cheap like Palmolive, a couple of euros, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking it might be, then it's probably worth that. You know, Palmolive would be a better buy if you're able to do that. But if this is a choice and it's just for a couple of bucks, then I think it's a respectable product to use. So I did add some water to the initial pass of lather during the pass into the brush, and so it did get added to that first bit, and then I added a teaspoon to the bowl, and then used the second and third pass from the bowl, and so total we're looking at 3.5 teaspoons of water used. So not bad. Not bad. That's actually kind of commensurate with the soap I might, you know, pull from a tub, you know, a dry from a tub. So in this case, the cream in the tub kind of equaled out in terms of water needed. Oh, of course, in retrospect, I might back off, and maybe just 3 teaspoons might be what I would recommend in this case. So it's always good to enjoy some old products like the Tech. It's a great shaver. It is not as smooth as my Timeless 68 scalloped bar. I think probably because of the massive weight of the Timeless. It just moves through the hair with that inertia. You just don't feel stuff like you do with the Tech. The Tech head is very light. And so obviously you've got different purposes involved. I imagine the Tech is going to be better for you mustache shavers, getting under small areas and stuff. But the Timeless was super smooth and just as efficient and close cutting as the Tech was. So, but very happy with the Tech. I love that it can give people great shaves at such a low price and not be something that's just a 5-year Zamac. It's a lifetime thing for just a few bucks. I'm so happy with that. And fun to try out the Russian cream, you know, why not? It didn't quite measure up to the Palmolive, for instance, but it had a nice citrus scent. So if I, you know, had to use it, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Maybe mix it a little drier than usual, not quite let it get super elastic and have a more creaminess to it. Enjoyed the 1438 again from Semogue, that little Boar brush. Dropped him on the towel, and here he is. He just keeps opening up just a little bit at a time. Maybe a couple of hairs more will split each time, and we'll keep working him. And I'm just really happy with his backbone, and those tips are just going to keep getting softer. And it's already enjoyable to use, just kind of a little bit of scrub to it, no scritch or anything like that, no prickly feeling at all. So very comfortable, and it's one of the lower grade hairs. And so when it splits, then all of a sudden you get the low grade adjacent bristles, the backbone, but then you get that kind of higher grade top covering of the split softness at the tips. So medium high backbone, soft tips is just a really good combination that a lot of people like. All right. Otherwise, I think we're good. Another reason to use Lucky Tiger is a face tonic. I enjoy that guy, and I think we're all right. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I sure hope there's been something here that's helped you out. You take care. Bye.